Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another Comfy Cozy book discussion. I'm your host, Hannah from the Teachers TBR. And if you've never heard of Comfy Cozy, which it would be kind of weird because this is a Comfy Cozy discussion, but I will let you know what it is. It is a book club that is bi-monthly that celebrates all things cozy. So tonight I am joined by my two beautiful co-hosts who read The Secret Garden with us. And oh my gosh, I don't even have my book to get. I don't even have my book. And I'm just gonna warn you, I didn't get to warn you guys like ahead of time, but I had a field trip today, and so my brain is mush. So if I can't pronounce any words or make sentences, put sentences together, like please overlook that. Okay. And that goes for anybody in the chat too. Like, just kind of overlook Hannah, okay? Because wrestling 6-year-olds all day was not fun at the aquarium, but we had a blast. But anyway, if you are here, go ahead and let us know if you read the book by giving us a flower emoji. And don't tell us your star rating just yet. We're going to save that for the very end. So I know that's kind of different from other book discussions because I know some people that just do it in the beginning, but we're going to save it for the end. So, all right, without further ado, let's go ahead and have my book besties over here tell who they are. And you could tell us, like, is The Secret Garden, was that out of your comfort zone? Do you normally read stuff like that? And so on and so forth. So, Jordan, take it away.
Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Because I switched to my headphones, so I didn't want to just sit here talking and no one hear anything. I'm Jordan Elaine. I absolutely adore Hannah. The Hannah that you get on the internet is just as precious and beautiful as the Hannah that you get in real life. And she's amazing. So just had to throw that in there because I adore her. Anyways, yeah, I have a YouTube channel, Jordan Elaine, and The Secret Garden was definitely out of my normal reading. I don't read a lot of classics. I'm like a romantasy and romance fantasy type of a reader, but I guess you'll find out if I liked the book.
Okay, sorry, had to get unmuted.
You're fine.
My name is Bethany, and my channel is Bethany's Bookshelf, although I will say I have been not doing very much on BookTube lately. But I love Comfy Cozy, so much fun. I just love that Hannah is doing this, and it was like the one kind of thing this month, actually over the past couple of months, that has kind of like kept me connected and reading, honestly, because reading has been so slow for me. But The Secret Garden is, I guess, kind of out of my comfort zone. I really like middle grade, but I don't read it like constantly. And I don't read a lot of classics, but like I want to. And I just can't believe I had never read it. So I'm really glad that I did.
Yay, you guys are so sweet. I didn't expect you to say all those sweet things. But yeah, I think The Secret Garden was also out of my comfort zone, and I think that's really the reason why I did it, is because otherwise I don't think I would have gravitated toward it, because I've always heard of The Secret Garden, but just never, like, went for it. So, I just don't normally read classics or middle grade, so it was definitely out of my comfort zone too, so all right, lovelies. If you were here in the chat, go ahead and let us know. Did you read the book? Leave us some flower emojis. Say hello. Let's see who's here. Keisha is front and center. She's the first one here. Which, if you don't know, this is like literally one of Keisha's favorite books of all time. Good evening, beautiful friends. So happy to join this discussion. Yes, I'm glad you're here. Hi, April. Hi, Tina. Hi, Jen. Wendy's here. Oh, nice. I didn't know you read it last year. That's awesome. Hi, Jen. Yay, all the flowers. Oh, it's okay. Some computers don't allow it. I have a Mac, so it does, but totally fine. Yvette's here. Hello, Amy. All right, lovelies. We'll go ahead and jump right on into the discussion. Oh, I like this. Okay, we do have a portion that I will bring this back up. So, Keisha, if I forget, like, remind me, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get into the discussion. Question number 1. Also, if you are here and you have not continued or finished the Secret Garden, we will be talking spoilers, so be aware of that. The first couple questions will not be spoilery. We're going to try to keep those pretty general, but just know that we will reach a spoiler territory. So, all right, number 1, have you ever read The Secret Garden before? Or did you know how the story went? Like, did you watch the movie or anything like that? Did you kind of know how it went, or was this a completely new experience? And that goes for anybody else in the chat too. You can feel free to join in on that. So, any ladies, whoever wants to take it away.
I can start. So when you asked me this a long time ago, I was like, I don't really know. I don't remember. But now that I've read it, I can confidently say this is my first time of reading it. I did kind of know like the general premise. I did also read The Edge of In Between that Keisha was mentioning.
Mhm.
And I know I had at least seen like parts of the movie. I remember like sitting with my mother-in-law once when it was on, but I don't think I've ever actually watched the whole movie. So a lot of it I didn't really know. Like I knew some little parts that were like big parts of the story, but yeah, it was pretty much new to me.
Yeah, same. I'm pretty sure I saw the movie once, maybe, but I could have watched that movie a month ago and I would have forgot because that's just how my brain works. I forget everything. It's like watching a movie for the first time every time.
Love it.
But while reading the book, it was almost like I knew parts of it somehow, but it felt like a first time experience overall.
It had a very nostalgic feel.
Yeah.
Like, because I had never read it either. Honestly, I never knew the story. Nothing going in. I had a suspicion that there was like a magical garden, which is really not what it was about. I mean, technically, we could say the garden was magical, had some magical elements, but I didn't really know the story at all. So I liked that we all went into it with pretty fresh eyes. So I
What's
like.
funny is my daughter, she has watched the movie and read the book, and her brain works better than mine. And I asked her, I was like, wasn't the kid, I'm trying not to like be spoilery, but Colin in the book, I don't know why in my brain in the movie that was a girl. And I was like, wasn't it a girl? She says no, but I'm like, I swear it was a girl in my brain. So I was so thrown off that that character was a boy. And I don't know why.
That is so funny. You have to let us know, those of you who watched the movie, like, is he a girl?
It's just what I saw.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
I could have sworn.
Oh my gosh. And everybody in the chat, let us know if this was your first time, which is so fun. Like, I feel like a lot of people read this the first time too. Oh, that stinks. Saw the movie as a kid, never read the book until last month for middle grade March. Yes. Read it with a group of students in my ESL reading club. Hello, Erin. I didn't see you pop in. First time reading the book, also never watched the movie. Nice. We will be watching the movie for any of you that can make it on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. So we'll find out if Colin's a girl. I have watched the movie since I was little with my aunt because it's totally her vibes. This was my first time reading it. Oh, I love that, April. First time reading the book. I've watched the movies. I think there are 2 different versions. Yeah, I think there's actually a couple different versions, at least that I saw. First reread, I read it for the first time 3 years ago. Didn't completely know what the story was beforehand, just a locked garden. Yeah. So much nostalgia, for sure. I thought there would be a magical aspect. I think Colin would say different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll get into that too. Okay. So coming straight from the source, I don't think so. Yes, I'm so excited too. Just read a couple pages the other year, but this is my first time fully reading it. Nice, Tina. Also, I didn't see you pop into Tina. Maybe I did. Yeah, you left it Flower. All right. Now we're going to get into like general thoughts. This doesn't have to be like super spoilery yet. Just kind of give your overall thoughts as you read the book. Like, did you like it at first? Did it take you a minute to get into it? What did you feel about the setting, the atmosphere, the characters, all the things? So what were your overall thoughts of the book, like especially after you finish it? So Jordan, you want to do this one?
Sure. I finished it yesterday, so initial thoughts. I loved the setting. Anything with the garden, and then which I know we'll get into later, like kind of the moral of this story and how the garden just represented so much. But overall, just the vibe of this garden and how much garden talk there was, I would think would typically bore me, but I thought it was so beautiful. And especially reading it in spring, where we're watching flowers bloom all around us, it could not have been a more perfect time, because I just was like, I feel the same way, you know, when she's like, oh my gosh, getting so excited about the spring and flowers blooming. I was like, same girl, same.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I loved that part too. I was thinking that, like, I was reading that, like, oh my goodness, good job, Hannah. This is perfect.
Didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, I love the setting and the atmosphere of like the garden and the house with like all the rooms, like the mystery around the house and the gardens. I loved all of that, and I really liked just her writing and the descriptions, and I really liked like the tone of the narrator, like, and how I don't know, like how we got to kind of jump into the minds of so many different people a little bit, like through that narration, or just like the story. Even at like towards the end, I don't think this is spoilery, but we got like a chapter like from the crow's perspective a little bit, and I was like, this is so cool.
You got a perspective from the crow?
I think so. Am I crazy?
I don't think I got that.
So I finished it today.
Did you get that in your book, Jordan? That is so fun.
So maybe I'm not saying that right. Maybe it's not the perspective, but it was like, I don't know, just the way the narration of that part. I'm gonna have to find it, but I can remember one thing specifically about how it was like the crow observing the change, and how like crows don't have to like work to get muscles; they're just like doing their job. Like,
okay,
I don't know.
I think I know what you're talking about now.
Okay.
I think we're thinking you meant a whole chapter, like literally as he's narrating.
Right. No, it was just the way the narrator like spoke about the crow.
Okay, maybe I do remember.
Yeah.
So I kind of said that wrong.
It's okay.
But then the last chapter, like the way that was narrated, I don't know. I just thought that was so unique, and I was like, this is why this is a classic. I feel like, I mean, there's so many reasons, but I just really liked the way it was structured and written.
I agree. I also think that there were many times that I was reading it and I was like, wow, this is a perfect book to be reading right now, because just the times where she was looking at the little plants that were coming up and that they were being smothered. And I was like, that is my favorite part of spring, is seeing the little pieces of green like come out after a long winter. That's literally one of my favorite parts of spring. But I also really liked the garden aspect. I really liked the focus on flowers and the focus on just all things spring. But it's not really what I thought it was going to be, because I was looking for I don't know, like a magical garden, like all these things were going to happen in the garden. And it was just very different. I still really loved it. But it was initially, I was kind of shocked and I was kind of taken aback because I was looking for a different story. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts. I just thought it was a little different than I went in thinking it was going to be. All right, everybody, tell us your general thoughts. Jen is talking about the movies. Beware the 90s version is not free on Prime, even though it says it is when you Google it. Started watching a version, had no idea what it was. Oh my gosh. Both times of reading it took me to adjust to the writing. Okay, we'll talk about that too. I do think the audiobook helps, especially reading with the Yorkshire accent, 100%. I will say I used the audiobook. Did both of you use the audiobook? Okay.
Yeah.
This book helped me appreciate a slow story and a detail. Yeah, I did have to slow down the audiobook quite a bit than I normally do. But we'll get into that too. And did you see this question, Bethany? She asked what version?
Oh, well, so I have this Barnes and Noble. This is from my childhood that I didn't read. I don't know who
Oh,
got it.
that's precious.
But I was using an audio version too, and it I like because sometimes I'm here lately. I've been very particular and honestly just like struggling with audio in general. That I knew it would help me because reading has been slow too. So I was like listening to samples of the different narrators because I was like, I want to get the good narrator for this.
Yeah.
So I was gonna look up who it was, but yeah, I really liked the audiobook that I listened to.
Hi, Betsy. I liked the book and agree all the talk of flowers blooming, but liked the movie better. Ooh, I like that opinion, Amy. Already said it, but basically loved it. These were my general thoughts. I just think it's so whimsical and easy read. Yeah, it was a very overall easy read. Really enjoy the setting. The way she described the garden and the house, it really made my imagination bloom. I love that, Tina. Took me getting used to the writing, especially the Yorkshire talk, when we got to the Yorkshire accent slowed me down. Yeah. Yeah. Even with the audio, I did have some issues, but good. Liked the aspects of spring in the garden. I liked Mary's transformation, but not a book I would normally gravitate towards. The audio made it better. Okay. Yeah. Usually, I don't know what it is, but every single book discussion that I have had thus far has talked about grief, like some aspect of grief, and it is so funny because it always comes up. So we will address that too. I agree, Keisha. I love that part too. Slow start, but I knew what was coming. Yeah, I agree. There were some parts of it that did have a lull, especially in the beginning. We will talk about that too. We will talk about that. All right, going into more spoilery thoughts, we're gonna start going into real time thoughts and no holding back. So the first actual question is, what were your initial thoughts of Mary, and did your thoughts change of her as you went along?
So I think maybe because I kind of knew enough about the story that, and just like in general, like, from the beginning when she starts out so sassy and spoiled and like completely not self-aware at all and just unaware of the world. I mean, it was like obvious, okay, she's gonna like have character growth in this. Um, so I don't know. Like I thought it was kind of fun and I was like excited to see her grow. And like obviously it wasn't her fault that she was like that. But.
Sorry, I'm like taking forever to unmute. I totally agree. I think that I knew enough that I wasn't deterred by how she was initially. Obviously, I was like, okay, this child needs some counseling and a garden.
Mhm.
But I wasn't too bothered because I knew character development was coming. And it came, in my opinion, pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. And I did want to share something about this question. I recently had a conversation with my guidance counselor at my school because this is something that I see a lot as an elementary school teacher, because most of the time, I would say like 95% of the time, when kids act out like she was and just downright acting like a brat, like what you were saying, it's a reflection of what they're feeling inside. Because I asked him, I said, so and so is having a really hard time with this, this, and this. And he said, Hannah, kids do not have that ability to overcome and deal with things internally. So it shows externally. Like, you see what's going on inside of them with how they act outwardly. And because they don't know how to deal with it, that's how they deal with it. And I had never thought about that before, really, because I mean, it seems like so simple, but I mean, they don't. Kids do not have that inward
They
ability.
don't have the ability to
Oh.
communicate clearly what they're feeling and thinking internally.
Yes.
Like I teach my kids, if they're having a moment, use your words. Like, let's sit down and I want you to try to use your words to communicate to me what's going on. But if kids aren't getting taught that is the way children act out,
Yeah. And it's most of the time with their body, or screaming or yelling, or some kind of overly response that we look at as, oh, they're just acting like a brat. Oh, they're just acting out. Or instead, we should have a little bit more patience and grace.
Yeah, like maybe this kid needs some help.
Yes. So what'd you guys think of Mary? A lot of brats. She was a brat, spoiled brat. I feel like it made sense because of how she was raised. She really didn't know any better. Jen agrees. Spoiled brat, but not her fault, because her parents were absent when she was growing up in a colony where they viewed the Indians as uncivilized. Yes.
Yeah.
I felt bad for her too right off the gate, because like you could tell that she wasn't a terrible kid. It was just her terrible circumstances. She only knew what she knew. 100%. 100%. But I think that we all know she redeemed herself in the end. She learned how to become better. All right, let's go into characters now. Who is your favorite character and who is your least favorite character? And I'm about to be so honest right now. I forgot both of their names. So
I literally had to pull it up, and I finished yesterday, but yeah.
Okay, then I'll start, because I never remember names, but I think I do.
That is awesome.
That's not true. I don't remember the name. I don't even know if we were given the name of her mother, but that would be my least favorite, which I know we didn't get very much of her, but just what we did get, I was like, oh, what an awful person. Anyway, so I'll just breeze past that. But Dickon was probably my favorite, but the whole Sowerby, I think is their last name. That whole family, I'm just like, wow, loved them so much.
Yeah.
And they were all different. Like, they all had different strengths, but they all like played a part in just helping to like heal Mary. And I don't know, I loved it.
Yes.
Agreed. Dickon was hands down my favorite. I mean, come on, he's an animal whisperer. Like, I want an animal whisperer friend to bring some baby lambs and squirrels and birds to my house.
Right.
Such a good character.
Yeah.
Who is your least favorite?
I don't know that I put a lot of thought into like a least favorite. Of course, several of the adults I had issue with. that they allowed things to work out the way they did. Like Colin's dad, I know he was working through his own things, but come on, you could have done better. So, but I wouldn't say like I disliked anyone necessarily, other than the parents at the beginning. But I kind of forgot they even existed, honestly, because the book just rolled right on. And so to me, they weren't even like a character, really. But yeah.
Did you say your least favorite character?
Me? Yeah, the parent, like her mom in particular, but both of them. Yeah, just the fact that they were, completely abandoned her and wanted nothing to do with her.
Did you finish your thought, Jordan? I just completely interrupted you.
Yeah.
I think my favorite character was Dickon. I loved him so much. Like every time he was on page, I loved that boy. And then I really disliked the parent, but I also really disliked Mrs. Medlock. I don't know why. I just really didn't like her. I think she was really in Mr. Craven's corner and defending everything that he did. And I just wasn't about that. And she had her good moments, but I did not. I didn't appreciate her. But let us know your favorite and least favorites. Chrissy popped in. Hello. The book tea is hot. Okay. Again, I'm going to be so honest. I think I blacked out during this whole part. Is there a Dr. Craven and then a Mr. Craven? Is there a difference?
Yeah, I think it's his brother is the doctor, or cousin, or
his brother, or the Lord.
No, like Colin's dad's brother. Maybe Keisha will know.
So Colin's uncle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
I blacked out during that. I literally was like,
it gets confusing because it just called them Mr. and Doctor.
Yeah. It's okay, Wendy. Nervous that Mary might not change. Yeah, I was a little nervous too. Dickon, but also liked the gardener. Ben was precious. He was
I'm going to be completely honest. When it came to Ben, the audio I was listening to had like different characters narrating each person. And the man who spoke for Ben, I couldn't understand a word he said. Nothing. Like literally nothing. At one point, Jada's in the car with me and she's like, what are you listening to? Because Ben is talking and she's like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I hope he's not saying anything beautiful and meaningful because I've got nothing.
Oh, no. Oh, the character was ruined for you.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I think he's a good man, but I didn't have a physical copy. I was just doing the audio. So I didn't even have a physical to go like read what he was saying. So he could have been a jerk. He could have been amazing. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. He was a good guy, I promise.
Okay, good.
Oh my gosh. Most connected to Colin, even though he was annoying at times, I had empathy for him.
Yeah.
Loved Ben and Dickon, hated Mrs. Medlock, the main servant, I think it was her name, and Maggie Smith does a great job making you hate her too. Oh my gosh. Same. Colin was a brat, but I felt sorry for him and Mary. I would say the parents were the worst, which explains why Mary and Colin were so neglected. I do like that they kind of connected to the two in similar circumstances.
They had such like trauma bonding and didn't even know it.
Really,
like,
though.
The fact that they had walked through the same thing, but in different ways, but then were able to help each other was so beautiful.
And one of my favorite parts of the entire book was when everybody was like, all the adults were freaking out, like, oh my gosh, he's throwing a fit, blah, blah, blah. And then Mary just walks in and is like, stop crying.
Yeah.
Would you budge?
But had she not been the former brat that she was, like, had she not gone through her own development, no one else would have done that for him. Like, it needed to be a Mary.
Yeah.
That was literally one of my favorite parts of the book.
Same. Such a good part. Yeah.
She was annoying. My favorite characters were Dickon and Dickon's family and Ben the gardener. Doctor's a cousin that stands to inherit everything if Colin passes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I must have like completely missed that part. I knew he was related somehow. I just didn't know. I loved when Mary called him out like that. Yes, it was so funny. I was laughing out loud during that part. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I still have a question from our last book discussion on here, and it literally says, "What is your favorite Skittle?" That's not supposed to be there. So just ignore that. We're gonna obviously skip number 5.
I need to know what was the book for that one.
The match. The match
okay.
has like a scene with Skittles, and it was, "What was your favorite Skittle?" But so we're just gonna go right into number 6 because apparently, yeah, there was technical difficulties with that. Did you have any predictions of what the mysterious crying was? Because I tell you, I was so confused. Literally so confused. I was like, they've kidnapped a baby or they're running some kind of
like, is this a ghost story?
I really did think at one time that it was a ghost story. I was like, this place is haunted. This is going to go in a whole nother direction that I didn't understand. Like, I'm not prepared for Colin. But for those of us who had not read the story before, what did you think the crying was? Or did you have a prediction of what the crying was?
I think this is where my brain was like, I've seen this before and knew it was another kid. Remember, I just thought it was another girl, not a boy. So that was a plot twist for me. But I knew that there was a child somewhere in this house.
Whoa, he's a boy.
I swear, guys, even in my mind, it's a girl being pushed in the wheelchair. I don't know. It's fine. But yes, so I kind of remembered vaguely that it was a kid.
Okay.
That was like the limited knowledge that I had. So I knew once that started happening that,
Yeah, I was literally on the island by myself. I was like, what? Everybody in the chat of our Discord was like, have you never read this before? I said, no, what's the crying? Okay. Yeah, I kind of suspected that it was either a baby or like a different, like a child or something. I truly didn't know. I truly had no idea. There's lots of talk of flowers in this book. I just want to know, not what your favorite Skittle is, but what is your favorite flower? You can tell me your favorite Skittle too if you want. But what are your favorite flowers, or what is your favorite flower?
I don't really have one necessarily. Somebody asked me this the other day randomly too, which was funny. I always forget like names of characters, flowers, all sorts of things, but I think it's hydrangeas. But we had them at our old house, and they were like established when we got there, and they were wonderful. I love them so much, and I really wish I had some. Like, I would like to grow some, but I know that they're kind of hard to get established. Anyway, I would love to grow some here.
I think it just takes them a while because my husband's grandma gave me a little bush. And this one's going to take a long time for it because they usually, when you see them, they're huge.
Yeah.
It just takes some time to get established, but they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Welcome.
I truly and completely, I've given different answers for this, but like, if I'm being 100% honest, I genuinely just love every flower. Like, I really just think they're all so beautiful. From the tiny ones to the big ones to just the ones that grow like weeds to the ones that are hard to grow and more rare. I really just think they're all so pretty.
That was precious. Did everybody catch what she said? She's like, I love any kind of flower, even the ones that look like weeds.
I do though. Like, guys, if you come to my house, it's embarrassing because my grass is so overgrown, but I don't want to cut it because it just looks like a massive chaos garden full of wildflowers and stuff. And I just don't want to cut it. But like, we really need to. But I just love the flowers. All
You
of
can
them.
have your own like little secret garden in your backyard.
Yeah, maybe if I just let it keep growing. I mean, who knows what magical creatures will appear.
Oh my goodness. I also love all flowers, especially like this year. I have become obsessed. Like, this is so funny, but my husband's grandma is a plant fanatic, and she is like become my best friend. Literally, if I'm texting someone, it's probably my husband's grandma because I cannot stop texting her about plants and flowers because she has so much knowledge and wisdom. And I'm like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What are you doing here? What are you doing? And she has like opened my mind to all sorts of like new flowers. And like I said, she actually gave me a little hydrangea bush, and she recently bought for our anniversary, she got us a little peony bush, which
Oh gosh,
that leads me to
beautiful.
my answer. My favorite flowers are peonies, which some
Mm-hmm.
people say peonies, but they're the ones that are like big balls and they like open up. I just love them so much.
Guys, when I just dropped my daughter off at camp, one of my friends just handed me a bouquet for an early birthday gift of peonies that she just pulled from her own garden. So I have like the most beautiful light blush pink display of peonies in my kitchen right now. And if you put a gun to my head and was like, pick a flower, it would probably be that flower. But I don't like to pick one. But
There's just
they
something
are right. There's something about they look like paper. Like I thought she like handcrafted these flowers and they were paper, and no, they're a real live flower.
Oh,
They're
I
so
love it.
so pretty.
I also really love forget-me-nots, which are a huge part of Powerless. And I just recently planted some, and they're so precious. They're like literally this big, the blooms of them, and they're precious. If you look like really close to them, they're just little precious little blue flowers. And I love them so much. But anyway, we're going to talk all night about flowers if you get me started. So we might as well just see. Guys, let us know your favorite flower or flowers. Lilacs and stargazer lilies, daisies. That was my favorite for a long time.
Yeah, same.
It's a fan favorite, I feel like.
Yeah.
Sunflowers, but also love zinnias, black-eyed Susans, and wisteria. Oh my gosh. That was another thing I asked my husband's grandma about. I was like, what do you think about wisteria? And she was like, no, Hannah, don't plant it. Because apparently it's toxic to all things. So maybe not. Sunflowers, baby's breath. I don't think so. I've always heard baby's breath.
Same.
Blue hydrangea bush. Sunflower, gardenias, and hydrangeas.
Oh, gardenias smell so good.
Yes, they do.
Love to look at flowers, however, they are the death of me. Oh, I have such bad seasonal allergies. Oh, I'm sorry, Jen. I love it that you're still pushing through no matter what. That's true dedication. Okay, we kind of mentioned on this before, but were there any symbolism parts to this book that you were like, I feel like that has a deeper meaning to it? And any answers are welcome. Like if you want to talk about faith aspects that you found or anything like that, just kind of some symbolism that you thought had some deeper meanings. Whoever wants to start with this one.
So did we already talk a little bit about like grief, but also like, I don't know, just like the growth and like being in nature and healing. And I loved this isn't really symbolism, I guess, but I loved how their like health and mental health and everything improved when they were outside in the garden. I just loved that so much. And then the last chapter, I loved how it was like wrapped it all up, and it wasn't like leaving it open to interpretation. It was just so like clear about what happened and the growth and like her not her but the mom, the Sowerby mom, how she talked, I think it was like kind of her, I guess, talking about um the magic and like how you call it whatever you want. Like I'm gonna have to look up quotes, but like basically your creator created all of this and
Yes.
healed you and oh my goodness, I loved it so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was praising the Lord at that part.
Yes.
It was like towards the end, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have some of the quotes. Like,
Okay, yeah.
of course, there must be lots of magic in the world, but people don't know what it is like or how to make it. One of the best was, I'm sure there's magic in everything, only we have not sense enough to get hold of it and make it do things for us. Just all that talk about magic was so precious. And to me, it just was like what I got most from the book is how positivity and thinking differently and utilizing nature and those positive things like flowers and the earth can literally change your life. There was another quote that was saying like when a disagreeable or discouraged thought comes into his mind, just have the sense to remember in time and push it out by putting in an agreeable or courageous one, because two things cannot be in one place. But like he didn't come to that conclusion until he was spending time outdoors and in the garden around things that are growing.
Yes, 100%. Oh, such good quotes. And I did tab a lot of this book. And I think there were a lot of things, like from a Christian perspective, that I was like, I think that is a deeper meaning. But I also think that there was a lot of symbolism with relationships in this book and the influence that people have on our lives, and whether that be a positive influence or a negative influence. Because Calvin was literally 1 foot in the grave before Mary came into his life. And Mary was like, you know what? You're going to get up and we're going to go and we're going to do things and we're going to get you out and we're going to go do things to make you alive again. And that was not awakened in him until he had her influence. So I really do think that there was a lot of symbolism on relationships and friendships and just the importance of that, having those good ties together. So, anything else that we might have missed or things that maybe you guys picked up on? I also really liked the um, the part, I don't know exactly when it was. I think it was toward the end where and I don't 100% know how exactly what happened, but it was basically the mother spirit coming to Mr. Craven and saying, "Go to the garden, I'm there." Oh my gosh, we could say so much stuff about that. Like, we could go into a whole laundry list of stuff, how like, what that represents. Um, but I also think, like, coming from a grief perspective and knowing that I've read The Edge of In Between, there is a lot of symbolism on, like, seeing your loved ones in nature, and especially the cardinal, and in this case, the robin. There's just so much symbolism with grief on that. So, anything else, my friends, that you have picked up on? And Shelly made it. Hello, Shelly. I loved the book, 5-star. I love it, Shelly. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Wendy. Connection of growth of the flowers with them gaining healthy weight and just the total cliche meaning of flowers in spring, bringing new life. Yeah, I feel like new life was the big message of this book. There's just little things in how she writes it all. I try to think of one just to pull. Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely something that had a deeper meaning. All the magic made me think of God and all he does for us, creates for us, and gives us. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would be curious to know. I don't know if Keisha told us this somewhere or if this author is a Christian. I would be curious to know that. Or just a believer in general. The thought quote, mind renewal and replacing the thoughts. Yes, 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 yes. Amen. I agree about the nature aspect of the book making you feel better mentally. And it does, it's like scientifically proven, like being outside, like makes our mental health go up, our physical health, obviously. It's scientifically proven that you need to get outside. This was a reread for me, and I got so much more out of it this time, all the hidden things between the lines. I love it. Okay. Yeah, I was curious. All right. We have like one more big question, but while we like talk about the next big question, I'm going to do something a little different that I've never done before, where I'm going to ask you guys in the chat to ask us a question. So maybe there's something that we didn't cover that you guys are curious about. I know Keisha asked one in the beginning about the edge of in between. But if you have anything else that you thought of that we didn't cover in the discussion, now's your time to ask it. We're going to go ahead and do the last big question. So while we're talking about this one, just leave your questions in the chat. Okay? So the last bigger question is, how do you feel about Mr. Craven now? And I saw this a bunch of different places, should he be redeemed now of what we know happened at the end about how he came back and he decided to give Colin a second try, a second chance, and he's going to try and become a better father. So how do we feel about Mr. Craven now or in general?
So, this is really hard. I feel like in the context of this book, I feel good about it. And I feel like I don't know, like I'm okay with how that worked out, I guess. If we were talking about like someone in real life, I don't know. I would struggle a lot more, I think. Um, I mean, I don't know. I think obviously there would need to be more time and proof of your ability to stick with it and be a good person. Like I don't know. It's understandable to a certain extent, like what he was going through, but then again, like not a good excuse for just leaving your child in a room. So
Coming from, and I would be curious to know, because both of you are mothers, coming from a mother's perspective, could you see yourself ever coming to this? Like knowing that he was grieving, could it ever be an option for you? Like, could that ever, you know what I'm saying? Could that, maybe in another life or whatever, could that have ever happened? Could you ever put yourself in this predicament?
so no. Although I will say that like as I've gone through adulthood, I've definitely experienced some like not grief induced, but like necessarily, but some like anxiety, depression that really shocked me and how it affected me. Like it didn't make me abandon my child, but it gave me a new perspective on like how things can happen that I would never expect. So like part of me is like I hate to say that I would never, but I would literally never. Like I cannot imagine like the worst thing in the world could happen to me and there's no way I would treat my child less. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. For the sake of Mr. Craven, I think that I was able to separate like reality from the book. And so as far as for the book's sake, I was like rejoicing in the fact that he had his redemption moment. That is, of course, the prayerful goal for everyone in every relationship that we know. I think in reality, I wish more parents would have aha moments and decide to change and be better parents if they're not already good ones. And I think that it's hard because as humans, we want to be like, okay, naturally, depending how extreme the situation is, be like, you really need to prove yourself before you are given time with a child. But in the faith aspect, it's like, this is what we pray for. This is what we like rejoice for when that happens. But then your question as a mother, I've also dealt with like depression and anxiety, and especially like postpartum and things like that. And I know what it is to feel like I just want to sit in my closet in a dark space and not mother. But I can't imagine actually doing that. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, I think allowing your kids to walk with you, like through that, had he been better as a dad to allow him and Colin to grieve together and to go on that journey together, it would have been a healthier situation.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
I agree. And I really liked your perspectives being parents, like, because he was a parent and he had gone through it. And I think that it was a representation of grief, but I also think that there are ways to handle grief, because grief is, I don't think we always like to admit it, but I think grief is very ugly. And I think we sometimes think that grief is just this cute little box that we kind of just carry around with us, but it really can affect how we treat people. And if we're not careful, if we don't have some sort of control over that, we will go lay in the closet and in a dark room and not come out. And we have to have some sort of, like, especially as an adult, like, you have to have okay, like, I have to get up out of this bed and we have to move forward. And I just don't think that he had that. And I also think that you have to be able to put others first, regardless of what. It sucks that we're all going through this, and this. But there has to come a point where, especially as mothers and parents, you put your child first. And I just don't think he did that. Now, I would like a continuation of this book, because I would like to see if he really did continue and change and be a better father for Colin, because my answer is undetermined, because if he wasn't, I don't know if in my mind he was redeemed. But if he really did acknowledge the fact that he was not a father for him and changed, then we can move forward. But
I would think that Colin going through his own development, where he's now a new kid, would almost be exactly what his dad needed to see. So it reminds me like when a child gets saved first within a family. And the Lord can use that, like that can encourage a parent, like, wow, I'm enlightened now. Look at my kid. Look how he's running. And and I think that if anything, Colin would be used more to help his father step up, which isn't always the ideal scenario. But if that's what it took, then it's just amazing that Colin was able to get to the place he was,
And
without his dad.
Maybe they were like in the same boat. Like Colin was like, it's hopeless, I'm gonna die. And maybe Mr. Craven was in the same boat.
Emotionally, he was in the same boat. Like, there's no point anymore in life.
And seeing him come out of that, maybe,
because grief is very isolating. And I think that the worst thing you can do in grief is say, I'm all alone, because it feels that way, but there's other people grieving too with you, and like, we have a rule in our house, nobody cries alone. I think that if you need that time in the closet, per se, I understand, like, in those moments, you don't want to talk necessarily, or you really do just need space and time to debrief yourself, but you don't do it alone. You just don't allow that isolation to set in. And that is what Mr. Craven did. Like, that was literally the root of his issue was, I'm on my own here.
isolated himself. And we could open up the can of worms, like, of our faith. Like, that is what happens. That is a device used to separate us from the people we love and the people that grow us closer to God. And we could open that, but it is very isolating. And that's exactly how I would picture that.
I also saw it like as that he was afraid of loss again, like because he was under this impression that Colin was going to die too, and like he probably didn't want to go through that again.
That's so good. I never thought about that.
But also, you were saying, Hannah, the overall symbolism of relationships and how the relationships helped Colin. So it almost gave two examples. Like, here's what grief is doing to the isolated man. Here's what grief is doing to someone who, it took time, it took the right people, but Colin finally let people in. Colin finally let people speak into his life, help him, pull him out of the grief, whereas Mr. Craven didn't. And it shows like the two different ways that could go,
Yes, that's so
and
good.
he was able to learn about his mom and then like pull the curtain back. I love that.
Yes, oh my gosh. See, this is why we have discussions, is because we all get a sort of different meaning behind everything. So I love the fact that we got to have this discussion about this book. Shelley, I'm going to save your question for just a minute. Too complicated. He was grief-stricken, but as a parent, you should show it for your child. They needed to grow together. But I do think abandoning your child for 10 years is pretty insane. Yeah. Yes, Jordan. Praise. Yes, a second book would have been great to see the children grow up. I agree. I think that she could have continued the story. The ideas of mental health and mental illnesses was not what it is today. So that is always something to think about.
I was thinking that too, even parenting or fatherhood. Yeah. It's probably quite different.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. Thank you, Chrissy, for joining. All right. We will go ahead and take like the couple of questions that Chrissy or Shelley and Keisha had. Jordan, it is 8:00. Do you want to go ahead and head out? Or do you want to tell us your star rating first? And then we'll do like the side questions.
Yeah. I will. This would probably be a good time for me to hop off. So star rating, honestly, guys, I don't think I've landed on any. I just finished yesterday. I want to say 4 stars, especially after discussion and like being able to think more deeply with you guys about it. Probably 4 stars. So overall, it'd probably be just the writing style not being my typical. That probably made me like not give it a full 5.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining, lovely friend.
Yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye, Jordan.
Bye.
All right, let's go ahead. Oh, why are you still down there? You staying down there? Let me see if I can get you up here. Oh, that's okay. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the 2 questions that Keisha asked. First of all, Bethany, have you read The Edge of In-Between?
I have, yeah.
Oh, okay. So we can both answer this question.
Yes. Yeah.
The question is, I do want to know if you reading A Secret Garden retelling The Edge of In-Between first affected your opinion on The Secret Garden. So for anybody who doesn't know, The Edge of In-Between by Lorelei Saverin is a direct retelling of The Secret Garden, which I have raved about that book for many months because I love that book so hard. I really do. And if I'm going to be 100% honest and real, I love that book so much more than The Secret Garden. And it's not a hit at The Secret Garden at all. I really loved The Secret Garden, but this one just, oh my gosh, the grief, it's more grief heavy. And I think that that's what I liked most. And this one is just more of a story. But as far as it affecting my opinion, to be honest, I don't really think it can be, in my mind, classified as a retelling, because there were bits and pieces of it that I could see similarities, but that was really it. I thought it was 2 different books that
Mhm.
did 2 different things for me. So, as far as, like, affecting my rating or affecting my reading of it, absolutely not. No, I do love that book so much, though. So
Yeah. I basically feel the same. I do feel like it was different enough that, yeah, it didn't affect like the way that I read this one. If anything, it did give me like more of an appreciation for
yeah.
the edge of in between, and just I'm like, wow, good job. Like she did a good
Mhm.
job
Yeah.
retelling that in such a beautiful way. Like it's been, I think we read it at the same time because it was for during one of Keisha's.
Oh, yeah. Book-a-thon, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's been a little bit, but yeah, I really, really loved it. And I think like the atmosphere, like that was very, I loved the atmosphere in the edge of in between. And I think maybe it was even a little bit more, but it reminded me a lot
Mhm.
of like how much I love the atmosphere in both of them. So
Yes. The whole overall atmosphere and the vibes of the stories
mhm.
are pretty much the same. I will say that if you really liked this one and you're okay with how heavy this one will be, The Edge of In Between is really heavy. Like, it's a lot
Mm.
heavier than The Secret Garden. So if you're okay with that, I would highly recommend that you go into that one. But me and Bethany are probably gonna recommend that book until the day we die because it is so good. It is
It is.
so good. So thanks, Keisha, for putting that on our radars.
Yes.
But I'm curious to know if any of you have read The Edge of In Between and it affected your rating or reading too. Um, I want to also know if y'all would read more of her books. Honestly didn't know she wrote anything else. Would you
So
ever read?
yes, I started during middle grade March, A Little Princess, and I really liked it. I really liked her writing then too. Like at the beginning of that, I just didn't finish. I didn't finish any middle grade in March. Reading has been difficult for me.
I hear ya.
And it's like I've started so many books and stopped them, but it's not their fault at all. So that was one of
Mhm.
them. And yeah, but I'm like ready to read that because and Little Lord Fauntleroy, I think I just picked that up as well.
I think I
Yeah.
have heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, yeah, I feel like her writing is good for me. So
Nice. Yeah, I had no idea she had other books. So she has this one
mhm.
and A Little Princess. So I may have to look into those. Um, oh, I like how you gave 2 different star ratings for writing style. I almost think over time I've begun to love it. Oh, what? What a hot take.
Yeah.
Keisha. I just think that one it just did so much more. It really did.
Mhm. And it had a lot more like fantasy, like magical stuff in it.
There was so much in it, and I think that this one was so good too, but it was just a straight story, and I just
Yeah.
think talk about the symbolism in The Edge of In Between. We
Yeah.
could do it for hours.
Uh-huh.
If it is a direct retelling, how did they handle Colin? Um, I probably misspoke. I don't think it's a direct retelling at all. I think it uses aspects of this story, but I don't think Colin was even mentioned. Like, they didn't
There
follow
wasn't
the story.
wasn't there
Wait
a
a second.
cousin?
I
I
know there
thought.
was, an uncle.
Mhm.
I don't remember if there was a cousin. Keisha, if you remember, you can let us know.
I know. Makes me
I
want to
feel like
reread it.
there was another kid.
I think there
Um,
was, but I don't know if there were two other kids. Like I don't know if there was like a Dickon and a Colin, or maybe just
yeah.
one.
I think I only remember one other kid. It's
That's
been
kind
so
of what I'm thinking too, yeah.
but yeah, I would just read it and see what you think. I
That's not
really
the main part of that one. Like
yeah.
this one I like was so much about Colin, and that's
Mhm.
not the main part.
Yeah. Edge of In Between is really like, if you've grieved, like, you're gonna love it because it's mainly talking about her journey with grief. So,
Yes. Mhm.
I would know that going in, Jen, that it's not if you're looking for a secret garden, you're only gonna get little aspects of it. Read other retellings or reimaginings too, but didn't enjoy them as much. Gallant is one? Isn't that by am I thinking of V. Schwab?
Schwab? I think so. I didn't know that that was a retelling though.
The Humming Room? I've not heard of that one. I'll have to look into those. Oh, it's so good, Amy. It's like, listen, do not bill me for your therapy or like your emotional support, but it is a very hard book, but it's so good. She wrote adult books too, but her children books are what she became famous for after her death. Nice. I'll have to look into her writings in general. Okay. So there was at least one other kid. Moon Garden is a retelling that the group read for middle grade March. Loved it, and I would recommend it. Ooh, Moon Garden. Okay.
I haven't read that, but I think it's like fantasy, maybe space fantasy, but anyway. Well,
Moon Garden. You have read Moon Garden or haven't?
no, I just have heard about it.
Okay. May have to look into that one too. Because it was more focused on her grief, whereas The Secret Garden was more focused on Colin. Yeah, it's definitely a more grief-heavy book. Yep. Yeah, and, that was a huge difference, is that, like, in The Secret Garden, why would she even grieve her actual parents? And she didn't really like, I forgot they existed, like you said. Like, they were not a part of the story, whereas in The Edge of In Between, literally, they
Yeah.
are the story.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lost Shelley's question. There it is. Shelley asked, I would love to know how being in nature makes each of you feel. What are your thoughts when in nature? What is your favorite nature place to go? I love that question,
I
Shelley.
do too. Oh, yeah, I definitely, yes, nature. Well, it's not a yes or no, but I definitely feel like being outside helps if
Mhm.
I'm like feeling anxious or just anything like physical health, mental health, all of it. To just go walk or be outside, or I I feel almost weird bringing this up because I feel like it sounds a little strange, and I'm not like
Right ahead, girl. Go ahead.
super I'm not like super into it. Like I'm not, I don't know. But there's this like idea called grounding. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I haven't like been in a good habit of it lately, but there for a while when I was like really struggling with some things, I was doing that and it made me feel better, like whether that was just a like placebo or mental thing, but I love it.
I literally did too. I knew she was gonna say grounding because not a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like people are
But it like it makes a lot of sense, you know.
it does, and I really do think, again, going back to our faith, I think we were created for that, like, to
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I also think that getting outside and getting in nature is a great way to connect with God, like, even if you're not a believer, it's just getting outside and looking at all there is to look at, like, especially if you're able to just go somewhere like the Grand Canyon or a waterfall or, mountains, like, just looking at outside. Like, there is so much beauty in the world, again, whether you're a believer or not, it's
Mhm.
just there is just something about being outside. And I'm like Bethany, like, if I'm ever having a rough time, like, I have spent a lot of time outside this past month, and it's just I feel like it's just human nature to just well, I won't say that because most of our human nature is like, let's go in the closet and shut the lights off,
Yeah.
especially when things get hard, but I feel like we need that. and grounding is another thing that I think is super important too. So, anybody else, if you want to answer that, go right ahead. Sci-fi / fantasy, I would say Secret Garden elements and for Moo Garden. Oh, that's kind of cool. Sci-fi and fantasy. Yes, we talked about that. If you want a good grief rep, Secret Garden inspired story, read that one. Yep. Mm-hmm. I haven't ever done it, and I have really, really wanted to. Have you done it, Bethany? Like actually made it?
I mean, I don't know if I like was super committed, but there was a time where like I would try every day to go outside barefoot. And then I don't know if this was the one of the things that I was like, oh, I don't know about this, but my Nana is very much like into like natural medicine or just anything like that. And so she had bought my dad and I, because we work at computers like all day, and she bought us these like mats that you plug in, and it just plugs into like the ground of your house.
Oh my god!
Like like the part of the plug-in that grounds.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to stand on it. So I don't use that anymore. And I was kind of like, I don't know if this is the same effect, but yeah. So
I love that. I love it. Yes. Yep. Grounding is so nice. We work together in nature because of the way God created us. So good. It renews me and makes me feel amazing when I'm gardening. Oh my gosh, don't get me started, Jen. Don't get me started. And I will never hush, I promise. I spend as much time as I can outside during the summer to feel renewed. Almost exclusively read outside. I love reading outside. There's just something about it. But gardening, there is something to say about gardening. It's good for you. I feel like it's so good for you. So if you haven't tried gardening or like getting in the dirt, my soul just loves it. It really does. My 7-year-old always says, I need to go touch grass when he gets overwhelmed. I'm literally going to start saying that.
I was going to say that I have an 8-year-old, so that's definitely like a thing they say, and I love it.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. We need like shirts that say that. I'm overwhelmed. Let's go touch grass. I love to go barefoot in nature. The sand is my favorite. Oh yes. I love the beach so much. It's hilarious. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna start saying that. So I planted black-eyed Susans and purple coneflowers. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I just planted some black-eyed Susans too. But listen, okay, again, I told you guys to stop making me talk about it because I'm gonna talk about it forever. But I went to this plant store and they had foxglove there, which foxglove is literally like one of my favorite books of all time. And foxglove is very poisonous to all things.
All of those books.
And squirrels and cute little bunny rabbits in my backyard. And I wanted it so bad. I even asked my husband, I was like, you think it's a good idea to get foxglove? And he read the little tag and he was like, no. It's like, but it's so pretty and death and Cigna and he's like, Hannah, just walk away. Just let's walk away from it. They are. I love black-eyed Susans. Which I knew that, but I was looking for something else. I was trying to read the tag and it say, "Oh yeah, it's fine for all animals." It's not though. And knowing Nugget, he would literally like go straight to it and eat all of it. So it's just not in the books for me. So all right, let's go ahead and share final ratings and final thoughts about the book. Drum roll, please. All right, Bethany, what did you rate this book?
So I hadn't decided. I'm like trying to decide right now. And I was thinking possibly 4.5. I think I'm just gonna say 5 because I enjoyed it a lot. And like I said, like reading has been so slow and
Mhm.
so just hard for me lately. So I loved that this worked. And so anytime I feel like every book has been getting 5 stars that I finish lately because I'm like, hey, if you got me to finish and I
Yeah,
had a good time, like you're getting 5 stars. So
I love that.
I love this stuff.
I love that it was 5 stars for you too. That is fantastic. I settled on a 4. I went back and forth between 4 and 5 because there was 5-star elements to this book easily. And especially with the discussion, I think that there was so much in this book, in this little middle grade story.
Yeah.
Um, but if I'm looking overall to my overall reading, and some of us mentioned this in the chat and in here, the accents were really hard
Mhm.
to at some points I was just like, What did he say?" And it one of my pet peeves is when I have to slow down my audiobook because I listen to everything at an accelerated rate to 2.5, sometimes even 3, and I had to, like, slow it down so many times to, like, 1.5, and I was getting so annoyed. I was like, still have no idea what you're saying." So that
Um,
did get a little annoying.
um,
So, um, but overall, I understand why it was in there. I understand the setting and all that. And then overall, I think that it was a pretty slow start, especially when we were just getting introduced to all the characters and everything, but overall, it was so good, and I really love the story, and I'm so glad that we read it and got to discuss it, but I think I'm gonna settle on a 4. So
yeah.
anybody else who's still here, let us know your star rating. Um, First time I read the book after setting with it, I gave it a 5, but I think it's just a favorite 4-star read overall. I enjoyed it more the first time because I'm not a rereader. That's actually kind of shocking to me that you gave it a 4, like an overall 4, because I was thinking kind of the same thing. I just think it's a good, solid book, but it's not one of my favorites of all time. The only book I've reread over and over, and by that I mean 4 to 5 times, is Coraline. I love that. I would assume that you really like the movies too. Do you like the movies? Or the movie? Tandem reading, I'm gonna think you said I tandem read and loved the experience and the accents. I will say the audio helped a lot
Yeah.
with, especially with how they pronounce things, because I don't think I could have ever gotten some of that on my own, but
I was thinking that as I read it because when I did use my physical book, I was tandem for all of that.
Mhm,
And then sometimes I was just listening when I didn't have my book with me. But I was thinking like, oh, I'm really glad that I'm listening to it because I feel like
mhm.
that Yorkshire, I can't even say it, Yorkshire.
Yeah, even the name is hard.
Yeah. But that helped a lot. And like I said at the beginning, when I like researched the narrator beforehand,
Mhm.
that was helpful too because I liked that narrator. So
Maybe that's something I should have done too, is, like, do a little bit more research on the narrator, 'cause,
yeah.
again, I do think that that makes a huge difference, especially when you're listening to it, but
So
I
if
do
anybody
curious.
is curious, Tamron Payne is the narrator.
Okay, I don't think I listened to her because the girl that I listened to, it sounded very dated, like, the audiobook sounded very dated, so it probably wasn't that one.
Mhm.
Um, but I'd be curious to know, like, those of you who read physically, did that affect your rating? But I'm not sure if a lot of people read it physically. Tina gave it 4 stars. So exciting. Watched the movie first and it's better than the book. What? Oh my gosh.
That's
But the
exciting.
book is a favorite 4-star and favorite all time. I know that doesn't make sense, but I am what I am. It does make sense.
Yeah.
It does. Because we don't give all of our favorites 5 or 6 stars. So I
Mhm.
get that.
And yeah, like for me, I don't know if I would consider it like a favorite of all time, but I'm like
Mhm.
5 stars.
Yeah, and a lot of the 5 stars I
I
give,
mean,
I don't ever think about again. So
mhm.
it's subjective.
Yeah.
All right. That is all, folks. That's all I have for you tonight, and that's all Bethany has for you tonight. Hopefully, you enjoyed the discussion. I think it went really well, and I think, again, I love these book discussions because what I get may be completely different than what Bethany got or what Jordan got, and we had so much to add to each other's. So, but thank you to everybody in the chat for joining us tonight and reading along and discussing it with us. And thank you, Bethany, for joining me this month
Thank you.
and discussing it with me. Next month is our off month. We're going to be doing cozy hobbies. And then the next book club month is in June. And we're going to be reading Thursday Murder Club. So,
Oh, yay.
I'm really
I forgot
excited
about that.
I am so excited for that book because it's also getting a Netflix adaptation or a
Ooh,
show or something like that, and I saw that the other day, and I was like, "That's perfect." So,
awesome. Yay.
for any of you who are curious, that's what we're gonna be doing for the next couple months, but thank you guys so much for joining once again, and we're gonna go ahead and end it for tonight, and we will see you somewhere else on the internet. Bye, guys.